The wind carved ghosts across the empty tarmac, whispering through the hangars and scattering fine veils of snow across the ground like breath held too long. He knelt in the drift, bare hands coaxing warmth from cold metal, the hum of the auxiliary turbine low and patient beneath his fingers. Frost clung to the short whiskers on his jaw. His breath rose in puffs, mingling with the faint steam that curled from the opened engine casing. She watched him from a few feet away, wrapped in cream wool and silence, gloved hands pressed to her lips. Snow settled in her hair like a crown she hadn't asked for. The plane behind them, a gleaming thing of wealth and urgency, sat dormant. Lifeless. He didn't speak. He never did much. The work said what it needed to. The sky above sagged under its own weight. Somewhere far off, a crow called once and was gone. The man worked without hurry, not out of carelessness, but controlled the deliberate steadiness of someone who understood the consequences of haste. His jacket was leather, frayed at the edges, lined with old shearling. The kind of coat passed down through hard winters. A toolbox rested beside him, its handle taped, its latches rusted. Every tool inside had been used enough to carry memory. He was a father. You could see it in the way he moved, efficient, economical, tired. Somewhere in his truck, parked just beyond the fence line, were juice boxes, crayon-sketched thank you notes, and a child's mitten with the thumb inside out. She didn't know that yet. She just saw a man kneeling in snow with engine oil on his wrist, repairing a private jet like it was a wounded bird he could still teach to fly. She had landed hours ago, but something had cracked in the auxiliary drive before she could lift again. She had places to be, meetings waiting, headlines refreshed. But none of that followed her now. Not here. Not in this suspended hush of ice and engine breath. Her coat was expensive. Her silence was not. It wasn't that he ignored her, it was that he didn't assume she needed anything. That was new. Everyone else moved too quickly around her, too afraid of wasting her time. He seemed indifferent to who she was, or maybe he simply didn't care. He only looked up once, to nod not in greeting, but as if to say almost done. His eyes were the kind that had seen too much, but kept looking anyway. Blue-gray, like sky before a storm. She found herself kneeling too, without realizing it. Snow soaked through her tights. She didn't flinch. The silence between them grew a kind of warmth, like breath-fogging shared glass. "What happened to it?" she asked. His answer was quiet, just above the engine's low pulse. It stopped wanting to fly. They didn't speak again for a while. The tools made their small, comforting sounds. Clicks and turns, like music made only for the hands. She watched his breath, the way his shoulders moved beneath the coat, how he didn't rush even as the cold began to bite deeper. It was the cold that humbled her. Not the snow she'd seen snow, but the kind of cold that came from standing still too long in your own life. He tightened one last bolt and sat back, exhaling. The engine gave a hopeful whir, like an old dog remembering how to bark. She smiled, not the kind she gave at photo ops or board meetings. This one didn't ask for anything. "That's it?" she asked. He stood, brushing frost from his knees. "Should hold." Something in the way he said it made her eyes sting. Later, she offered him her hand, not as a thank you, not as a transaction, but like someone handing over something fragile. He hesitated, then took it. His palm was rough, solid, human. They stood there like that for a moment, two strangers bracketed by snowfall and jet fuel, saying nothing and everything. "I've never seen anyone look at an engine like that," she said softly. He shrugged. "It gets tired. Like anything." And maybe that was what undid her. The way he said it, as if machines had souls and exhaustion was a kind of grace. She didn't ask for his name, not right away. Names felt too loud. Instead, She followed him to the edge of the hangar, where the wind calmed and time seemed to loosen its grip. He poured them both coffee from a thermos that smelled faintly of pine and metal. She drank it from a cracked ceramic mug with a child's handprint on the side. They stood side by side, watching the runway disappear into the snow. His daughter's voice crackled faintly from the radio clipped to the visor in his truck, singing some made-up lullaby to the stuffed animal riding shotgun. "She calls it her spaceship," he said. "Says it'll fly us out when we're ready." The woman didn't answer, just smiled. A slow, melting thing. When she left, she didn't leave the way she came. Not entirely. The plane lifted gently into the gray sky, its engine humming steady. From the window, she looked down once and saw the small figure of a man by the maintenance shed, one hand raised. She would return. Not because of the jet, but because something inside her had stirred, like a wing remembering what lift felt like. And though she had the world, it was the quiet repair in the snow that made her heart say yes. Not to the fix, not to the flight, but to the man who knelt in the cold and believed broken things still wanted to fly.